Psalm 34, verse 18. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. We are saddened to announce the passing of our beloved father, brother, uncle, and granduncle, Peter George, also known as Kosh, originally from Ancillary, lived most of his life in Marisol, but at the time of his passing, resided in Castries. He died tragically on Tuesday, 13 May 2025. He was 57 years old. He was predeceased by his father, Winifred Giddens, also known as T-Boy, his mother, Emma George Morris, also known as Miss Elma, his brothers, Sylvester George and Christopher George, his uncles, Septimus George and Sergius George, better known as Tisson or 69. His aunt Mary George Long, also known as Marilyn of Marisol, his nephew Don Yanni George, his cousin Monica Ursuline Thomas. He leaves behind to mourn his son Bradley Joseph, originally from Bexar, residing in Granivier, one daughter-in-law Nicole Joseph of Granivier, his brothers Hyginus George of Yesiqui, Edmund George of Marisol, Jason George of Corinth, Don George and family of Vanna, Stephen George of Bizet, Philip Philippi of the United Kingdom. Sisters, Joanna Louis and family of Granivier, Nell Castang and family of Angola, Sarah George and family of Laguerre, Francisca Edward of Mondador, one brother-in-law, Epiphan Castang, also known as Danny of Angola, one sister-in-law, Diana Daria George of Vanna. Also left to mourn his uncles, John George, also known as Zabwick of Montsepa, Hendrickson George, also known as Lazarus or Old Killer of Babano, his aunt Veronica Ade George of Montsepa, his aunt-in-law, Ms. Morella Santoma of Rivière Mitamoshi. Also left to mourn several nieces and nephews, including Anna Lafonce and family of Canada, Michael Alexander and family of E4, Mishka John, Donnell George, DeAndre George, Randall Vanille, all of Granivier, Elika George and family, Thaddeus George of Beauséjour, Daniela Castang, Daryl Castang, Daniel Castang, Dan Castang, Dan Lee Castang, all in Anguilla, Faith George and Star George of Vanna, Miracle George, Kyle George, Keegan George, all of Moshi, Craig and Troy of the UK, Marcel Danzy and family, Augustus Edward and family, Austin Gabriel and family, Andy Edward, several grandnieces and grandnephews, both here and abroad, too numerous to mention. Also left to mourn are several cousins, including Noah Ade of Montsepa, Benoit George, also known as Benny and family of Marcel, Ali George and family of Marcel, Von Santoma and family of Canada, Ronald Santoma and family of Rivière-Mita, Andre Adonis, also known as Harry of Granivier, Arnold George and family of Moshi, Charles George of Moshi, Vanessa George and family of Montsepa, Lorna Eugene and family of Moshi, Ashkel Kelly and Montoute of Fonson, Torian Constable of Martinique, Shagira Augustine and family of Moshi, Jeremina Ade William and family of Martinique, Anthea George, also known as Alina and family of Marisol, Jacqueline Alphonse and family of Marisol, Virginia Adonis and family of Monnier, Francis of Lac-Wamingo, children of deceased aunties Nofi and Doris Isidore of Labrie. Also left to mourn are several families, including the Gittins and Giddens family, the Edward family, the Philip family, the Eugene family, family of the late grandmother Maggie Giddens of Barbados, Labrie, and Ancillary, the Isambert family, Daria family, St. Martin family, St. Croix family, Stanislas family, the Charles family, the Louisi family, Bourne family, the Nelson family, Shabatis family, Popo family, Fontenelle family, Maximin family, George family, the Ade family, the Francis family, the Paul family, the William family, the Emmanuel family, the Bissett family, the Fede family, and the Mark families, both here and abroad, too numerous to mention. The funeral service for the late Peter George will be held at Crick's Funeral Home Chapel, Vidbotay, on Thursday, 24th July 2025 at 2 p.m. His body will be laid to rest at the Shock Cemetery. His body now lies at Crick's Funeral Home Limited, Vidbotay.